going on, everybody? We are back with the divisional round episode of Pickin' Sticks. I am joined, as always, by my good friend Connor. I am Tyler. Welcome, Connor. We're here. We have a little bit of a inter-podcast matchup happening this weekend, but we'll pump the brakes on that. First of all, let's talk about last weekend. How are you feeling after last weekend?
I don't remember the exact record, but I remember
You did
after
better
the
than me.
weekend. Yeah, it was pretty solid. I believe the only loss I had was the Bucks game.
Yeah, because we
Or
both
one
went
of
Bucks, I think.
few.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I went under on the Vikings-Giants game, which, of course, went a lot more high scoring. Then I took the Chargers, which I thought was going to be totally fine until we saw the Jags flip that on its head. And then what was my other pick that I really liked that I took? Oh, no, the Niners did fine. I don't know if I took anything in that game. Now I think about it, but I think I ended up taking the Niners like on a teaser. But it is what it is. Oh, the Bengals. We both were on the Bengals, but it ended up being a lot closer than we expected. But yeah, all in all, it was not too bad of a weekend for you. I'm looking to bring it back this weekend. We got 4 fantastic games. We're gonna dive in. We're gonna give out a little bit of props here and there. Make it interesting. We're coming down to the end here. Football season is fading, but with that being said, I wanted to take the time to make sure everybody likes, comments, subscribes. Football season may be going away, but we got plenty of other sports, that we do here at Pickin' Winners. We got Connor talking about basketball. Obviously, Keith and Tom are hot in the UFC picks. I believe 283 is Saturday, and I think Keith and Tom already have their picks out. If they don't, they will be soon. But yeah, let's jump right into it if you're ready, starting with the early game on Saturday. You got the Chiefs minus 8.5 against the Jaguars. Very interesting that Vegas decided to make this outside of a touchdown spread. I feel like they're trying to bait some people. What are your thoughts here? That's ESPN, Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, I'm inclined to think the Jags have enough firepower to keep this one close. Like, so long as that Trevor Lawrence doesn't run out the gate with 4 interceptions.
Yeah, exactly.
That'll be the great comeback. But I think with the firepower that the Chiefs have on offense and a little bit of what I'm about to get into, if they let this one get to be 2-3 touchdown lead, first half, first 3 quarters, it might be insurmountable. And I think that's I think we could all say that with a pretty good degree of certainty.
Yeah, the Chiefs don't let people come.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be taking Jags on the money line because their biggest issue on defense is against tight ends. Now, that's not good with Travis Kelce, one of the best statistical tight ends of all time.
Yeah.
The Jags surrendered 1,087 receiving yards to tight ends this year, 13.1 yards per reception to tight ends, which were both tied 3rd worst in the NFL. And knowing the connection that Mahomes and Kelce have, that could spell disaster. But all that being said, if you kind of what I the job, it's if you limit the star receiver and make the other guys be the ones to kill you, that's what's going to make this game be reasonable. And just get into a little props. I do like Jerick McKinnon for an anytime touchdown. That's been a little bit of my bread and butter the last 6 weeks of the season. But then Kelce touchdown, Kelce over receiving yards.
Easy. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think that, Kelce, shoot, if you're talking about a team that gives up points to tight ends and you're going up against literally the best tight end in the league, statistically and just proven, how could you not take that? I like some other props too in this. I'm rushing props are, I would say more certain, but who the guys are going to be getting the ball when it comes down to it. So Isaiah Pacheco really been coming into his own here with I stepped into the shoes of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and he has not looked back. His projected line, I mean, I think FanDuel has it around 50.5 yards. He's 8 out of 10. He's gone over that 8 out of his last 10. He's rushed for 64, 58, 86, 70, and then 4 out of the last 5. So I'm taking Isaiah Pacheco to absolutely smash his over. Same with Travis Etienne. He is, been the guy down there in Jacksonville. They have his projected line about 70.5. He is, 5 out of his last 10 and 4 out of his last 5, with 3 of those being 100-yard rushing games. So 70 is a nice number for him to be at. You have a lot of stuff to play with, especially if Trevor Lawrence is going to throw 4 interceptions and might have to resort to the ground game. And of course, like we talked about, Travis Kelce. And I'm a huge fan, as we know on this podcast, of QB rushing props and Patty Mahomes. I'm going to take him. He's 13 out of the last 25. He's 52% for his rushing over out of the last 25. So I'm going to take Patrick Mahomes over. It looks like it's projected to be 24.5, 26, 25, 26. I like that. Jags defense with, their young talent, Trayvon Walker. I mean, that's not a biased take or anything. But, he's going to have to leave the pocket a little bit to make things happen. So those are my picks for that game. As far as the side here, I think it's a little volatile. I think because it's outside of a touchdown, they're trying to bait us. I don't know how you feel about that, but could see an underplay because it's 52.5. I think they're like that number would depend on the Chiefs just absolutely beating the brakes off the Jags. But if the Jags being competitive, I don't know what kind of number we see. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't have a great read on the over, I think, or like the total really. Yeah, I do like the Jags to cover, but I think the over would really be dependent on like what weather they're seeing out there in Kansas City. Because like it could get cold, could be a big ground game, run the clock out, lower scoring than we would see if like the ball's zipping all over the place. So, and I don't know what it's going to be like. I'm just saying theoretically, like what could possibly happen. I know, like I'm headed up to Vermont this weekend, little ski weekend, and it's about to be snowing. About to be snowing up there, so who knows what it's going to be like in other parts of the country. But
yeah, I feel you. I mean, the Chiefs, the Jags Kansas City matchup this year was 27-17 in favor of the Chiefs. We could see an underplay here. I'm going to leave that alone. But the props that Conor and I gave out, I feel good about each and every one of those. Okay, enough of that. It's time to talk shit. Eagles minus 7.5 against the Giants. Obviously, I am a Philadelphia Eagles fan, and Conor is a loyal New York Football Giants fan. I'll let you have the floor first. And how you feel about this one?
I mean, you know how I was feeling going into last week. I was beating
very confident
on the Giants line. Like, that's how it went. I mean, like as far as like statistics and information, like I don't have a whole of a lot coming here, other than Eagles hardly beat the Giants without Danny Dimes and Saquon in a game where y'all were playing the first stringers to wrap up the 1 seed. And like, even though there was that blowout week 14, when you really dig into it, like it's not as like gruesome and concerning as like one would think based on like the point differential in that game. Because the Giants were missing 3 key starters: Leonard Williams, Adoree Jackson, Xavier McKinney. And then we look at like, how did Adoree Jackson do against Justin Jefferson? He locked him the fuck down. So there's the chance for him to do that against whichever Eagles wide receiver he's test with this week. And the last piece I got for you. What's the old adage about beating a team 3 times in a row in the same season?
Yeah, I know. I know I bring it up a lot.
Never doable. So there's that. Like personally, I'll be on Giants money line, Giants to cover. And I got a question for you. How comfortable are you and the Eagles to cover this spread?
Not comfortable at all, but that's not what matters. Covering the spread is not what wins you a football game. I think that in the end, like, we have a lot of athletes on the squad. I don't think that the Giants are going to be able to contain a well rested Jalen Hurts the whole day.
I mean, he looked like great in his last outing. Not really.
Well, I mean, that was like, I said well rested Jalen Hurts.
I mean,
I'm just saying.
Rest versus Russ. We talked about that last week.
This is true. This is very true.
It's been really spinning anyway.
Bottom line is, I like whatever. Let's see. Daniel Jones's over rushing never hurts anybody. I mean, Saquon Barkley's projected to be like 68.5 rushing yards. Could turn that down a little bit. He's 2 out of 5 around that mark. 5 out of the last 10. 3 out of the last 10. Excuse me. So, you could turn that down to like 50, get that at a good number. The alternate lines on FanDuel, I love those. But the only thing though is say last week, I took Danny Dimes. I was like, you know what? Let me just get him for 25 rushing yards. That's all I need, and he ended up running for like 80. But there's a chance that they put his rushing yards line really high, so I may once again just take him at that nice 25-yard mark just to play it safe. And I like Jalen Hurts to walk in a touchdown here, and A.J. Brown's over receiving yards. I think that A.J. Brown is dynamic. I know that Adoree Jackson shut down Justin Jefferson, but he's got to be tired after playing a game like that. I'm just saying. Got to be. As we're giving an all-star effort to shut them down. And you got Devontae Smith on the field and Dallas Goedert. So, and you have three deep weapons, as well as Jalen Hurts' mobility and Miles Sanders in the backfield. Oh, and by the way, Boston Scott, anytime touchdown. For some reason, he always gets one against the Giants, so I like that as well. Bottom line, the link's gonna be rocking on Saturday. I am so jealous of anybody who gets to go to that game. But the link is gonna be. I'll be drinking beers and hoping that we win. And this may call for it. It'll be my first in the NFL season. A little healthy reverse jinx placed on the Giants just to secure the victory for the Birds. It may have to happen.
You're a big fan of that reverse jinx, but I'll counter you with Richie James anytime touchdown, a little sprinkle on that.
Yeah.
And I like the Saquon Barkley line, at plus 100, pretty decent odds there. Boost a little parlay. Even though Isaiah Hodgkins was balling on Sunday,
he's a guy, man.
He's a dog. I feel like he'll do some damage as far as getting first downs, getting the yardage up there. But I feel like they'll use Richie James, maybe Darius Slayton to punch it in here. But that's all I got as far as the props go.
Dude, I'm excited. I think it's gonna be a great game. We were talking about it before. Regardless of what anybody has to say, the NFC East has 3 of the remaining 4 NFC teams in. Are we now the best team in the best division in the NFC? Some are saying. Have we?
I think we were saying that.
Yeah, some are saying it might just be the 2 of us, but I'm just saying, who knows? The NFC East may be more competitive than the NFC West, the notoriously most difficult division in college football. Jesus, in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, just based on the season and the teams that are left, I think it would be hard to argue against it.
Yeah, agreed. I think that Eagles will need to cover 7.5. They just have to cover 1, and that's all I'm looking for when the clocks hit zeros. But we're gonna have some money in our pocket on those props, though. So this game is quite interesting for a litany of reasons. But we'll take all the extracurriculars out of it and just take what we have with this. The Bills minus 5.5 against the Bengals. Obviously, we all know what happened just a couple weeks ago. We're happy that we have brighter days ahead and we can have this matchup. What are your thoughts here?
I mean, big concern for Cincinnati. They got 3 reserves starting on the O line, and like we all
Mm,
know, the history there. Joe Burrow going down rookie year because they couldn't protect him. But that being said, they finished 7th in the league in points per game this season. But they're going to need to do better than that 29th ranked rushing offense. And like Joe Mixon's going to have to do something like to like complement the pass game and also open things up a little bit. Uh, like that, and also give Joe Burrow more to pop. Like their passing offense, as I said, is also 7th in the league and ranked 5th in the entire NFL in converting red zone opportunities into touchdowns. So I think that will be key, as well as everybody like kind of slept on Cincinnati's defense. Like not one of the most like noteworthy defenses in the league. They ranked 6th in scoring defense this season, and they're giving up 2 less points per game over the last 3 games this season. They're 9th against the run, 23rd against the pass on the season, and have been excellent in the red zone defensively. 5th in the league in terms of keeping teams out of the end zone during red zone opportunities.
I mean, when it came
With all
down to
that,
it,
I'll be taking the Bengals to cover, and I'm not
sorry, I thought you
sleeping
were
on
going.
the Bills by any stretch of the imagination. They got like no good. And we all know there's a guy that they're playing for right now. So kind of like existential things that aren't like obviously are football related, but aren't like truly like game plan things do mean a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm taking Joey B to cover.
yeah. Sorry for interrupting you earlier, but yeah, I am intrigued by this game. Like you said before, when Joe Burrow spends more time on the ground, it never bodes well for the Bengals. I will say this: at the end of the day, the difference maker in the Ravens game was Cincinnati's defense for that scoop and score touchdown. Shout out to Sam Hubbard, lacrosse guy, by the way. Not a big deal. Was a Notre Dame recruit for lacrosse. Decided to go play football at Ohio State. Not a big deal. Anyway, yeah, I think that at the end of the day, the defense matters. But you know who else has a great defense, and that's the Bills. I think that the boys will be might be in the backfield with the Bengals a little bit. That being said, I do agree with that Bengals to cover because the Bills did look human against a third string quarterback last week in Miami. Almost, in my opinion, could have and almost should have lost to that said third string, quarterback. And hey, we said Skylar Thompson. I mean, he only completed 4 passes, but yet they were in the game the whole time. He completed like 5 or 6, I think, by the end of the fourth quarter. But in that one, I mean, I like Stephon Diggs to score a touchdown. He didn't have one last week, so I feel like he's got to find the back of the end zone. He's had back-to-back 100-yard receiving games, so I like him. I think it could have what I thought was going to happen a couple weeks ago was a Jamar Chase and Stephon Diggs just run and gun shootout. I may sprinkle and I try to and I you could sprinkle a little bit on both of them to have 100 yards receiving and a touchdown each as a little sprinkle parlay. Not I'm saying this is pizza money, as John Ryan would say, small bet, but I'm saying it could be a fun thing to follow. I also like James Cook over rushing yards. He's been a nice compliment to Devin Singletary when he's been called on. Also Georgia Bulldogs, so love it. This projected line is 39.5. He rushed for 99 not long ago, so anything is possible to side it. And of course, Josh Allen over rushing yards. Can't ever deny it in a Bills game. May take him to walk one in as well. And that's what I like for that game. As far as over under, I think this is definitely like a lean on the over, but I wouldn't take anything.
Yeah, I'm with you on avoiding the total. I'll also be on Josh Allen's over rushing yards. think Jamar Chase to score a tutty. That'll be my big one on the game. And I don't know. We'll toss in a Dawson Knox.
That's always good value too. Dawson Knox to score. He had the first touchdown in their game last week. If I'm not mistaken. No, that doesn't sound right. That was Dalton Schultz. I'm sorry. He had the first touchdown in the Cowboys game. But anyway, let's finish it up. We're moving right along here. It's only 4 games. We're used to talking like couple college, couple NFL. Four football games this weekend. So let's finish it off with arguably, I would say, the most intriguing as far as like what they both did last week. The 49ers, I think, was a way more expected outcome. But Dallas going down to Tampa and just beating the brakes off of Tom Brady in the playoffs and walking out has raised some eyebrows. What do you think?
I mean, certainly does. But we also can't forget that they weren't the Bucs really weren't the best team. Tom Brady's first team under 500, yada yada. Not a great defense. Offense looked pretty terrible. For a majority of the season, a couple key guys banged up here and there. So honestly, not shocking. It was more so can you bet against Tom Brady? It showed he was mortal in the playoffs.
Seriously, very mortal.
Which is kind of shocking unless it's against the Eagles or the Giants. But really on this game, I think home field advantage is going to be key here. San Fran is 8-1 at Levi Stadium this season, and the average scoring margin is plus 13.7 at home. But the Cowboys, my back. All right, looks like I'm back. My video cut out a little bit, but the Cowboys are outside of the top 12 in terms of rushing, in terms of yards allowed per game this season. That's not good. We got rest being a huge factor. San Fran they caught a break playing the early Saturday morning game. Dallas played the Monday night. You could call that short rest, given that it's the playoffs. They'll have about 2.5 days extra rest, they being the 49ers, against a team that had to travel 3,000 miles from the wild card game. So, all that hoopla, let's get into a little bit of statistics. Debo balled out. Wish he would have done that when he was on my fantasy team this season, but what can you do? Caught 6 passes, 130 yards, and he was the third leading receiver with 56 receptions, 632 yards, 2 touchdowns on the season. And everybody's going to be thinking about the great defenses, but Dallas does have some turnover issues. And they were clean against the Bucs, but the offense wasn't great. 14 turnovers in the previous 7 games before last week's matchup. And look at what San Fran did to Seattle. 1 turnover, and we had a snowball effect. Turned it into an avalanche. And kind of the last thing. I know I've been kind of ranting, rambling, whatever, but San Fran is 12-0 when allowing fewer than 80 rushing yards. 2-4 when allowing more. One of those wins was overtime against the Raiders. Just a little bit to think about on the other side of things. All that, I think you and all the listeners can feel that I'll be on the 49ers to cover.
Yeah, I hope I think the Cowboys make it interesting, but I think that recency bias is going to play into a little bit of the people taking the Cowboys. You have to realize what kind of team the Cowboys played last week, and it's not a typical Tom Brady squad, if you ask me. What I do like, though, regardless of what Dallas does, I do like Tony Pollard, to keep rolling. Obviously, Dallas is a feed the hot hand type of, type of team. So like I think that Pollard's got to probably get the bulk of the touches this week. So I like that a lot. That over should be around like 45, 46. Definitely like that. He's 13 out of the last 25 on that number. Other thing I like Dak to throw an interception. I think that
Yeah.
I think that like when it comes down to it, the San Francisco's defense is ridiculous, and so I like that. And then you know what, there's when it comes to touchdown props, I feel like the San Francisco 49ers is like a pick 'em. Like you can pick whoever you want, and you'll probably be right. There's definitely gonna be multiple people I think finding the back of the end zone, but give me Brandon Ayuk. That's always a good play. Always a good plus 200 up, and give me George Kittle over receiving yards.
I like those.
Yeah, and then because you can do whatever you want with McCaffrey, Debo, they're always going to get money. Like I would say they're almost implied that you should take them, but I'm saying like for a little bit of spice, I like Ayuk to take a touchdown here, and give me Brock Purdy's over passing yards. I think like beat a complete defense like the Cowboys, you have to be able to spread the rock around. Kyle Shanahan offense, they say it runs itself. Like you can just run the ball and be okay. But I think that Purdy really, being who he is, will get it done. Over under on FanDuel is 236.5. I like that number. Give me the over. And I like Dak to just cough one up. Maybe even a pick six. Could he, you know what? I'll take it a step further. Give me a little sprinkle on a San Francisco defensive touchdown.
Those are nice. Yeah, like I'll probably be catching picking and choosing from those. Like you kind of said a lot, like pretty much all the good plays. Like I don't think
there's a million.
There's a million, and I don't think there's bad value in any of those. Plus, like a bunch of others, I think Elijah Mitchell, pretty good value there for a touchdown. Definitely. Another thing to think about because they're going to be keyed in on McCaffrey. Like who knows what they do there, but yeah, like I'm probably not going to go too crazy on the props though.
Yeah, I'm just throwing things out, but those are like some sprinkle plays that I really, really like. At the end of the day, it's like this is a disclaimer. I'm not telling everybody to take all of these, by the way. These are just things that I really like here in this game, and they could be worth a look with a little bit of pizza money, a little bit of a sprinkle. But yeah, 4 games and we're done just like that. The NFL season's coming to a close. We appreciate any and all of you who are sticking with us throughout the entirety of this season. We really appreciate all the love and support. With that being said, once again, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram @_PickinWinners. Check out the website, pickinwinners.org. Connor, how do you feel about basketball season this year? Anything special for the peeps? You starting to get a feel?
Honestly, last week or so, I haven't been watching. Like, just been focused on football.
That's a good point. To me, like basketball season doesn't really pick up until March Madness and the end of football season, if we're being honest. I mean, that's for me being a very casual. Other than the Sixers, that's
100%.
Other than betting Sixers props nonstop behind the scenes. That's kind of my extent to it too. Also, we got a lot of stuff. We got Super Bowl in February. We got the March Madness in March, and me personally, we got the Masters in April. So we got a lot of prime sports betting opportunities coming up, and we will be covering every single one of them for y'all. We appreciate everybody for stopping out. Hope that everybody has a happy, healthy, and safe weekend of gambling. We out.